Hey guys, so today I'm going to be fixing this broken aquarium and I thought you might find it interesting. So I got this aquarium for the purpose of setting up at the elementary school, the elementary part of my school that I was going to, and this was either last year or the year before. It was last year. And I set it up, and we set it up on a stand. It was this stand, but the stand's been modified and it looks really crappy since then. But we must have made the stand unlevel because the floor at the school, or the floor at the school was unlevel, one of the two. But basically, I think it was wonky. And then when we set the tank up, I don't think the stand really did very well for the tank. And this tank has super thick glass. That was one of the interesting things we found about this 55 gallon. So it has super thick glass, so it wasn't like our other ones. And it didn't crack while we had it set up, but when I finally took it down, I went to set it up on its side, which I've done with a ton of tanks before that, and it cracked right down the side, and that just like really sucks. So I ended up bringing it home, I cleaned it up, and we just kept it just in case we needed it. So when I got Richard a couple months ago now, I think, I needed a quarantine tank, and I set him up in here, and he stayed in here because I'm pretty sure he has internal parasites, so he needs to stay in quarantine. So as you can see, it's really dirty and gross inside. I'm actually about to clean it out, but it's had this crack, and we couldn't really do anything about it. We had another piece of glass to put in here, but since this glass is so thick, the other glass didn't fit because it was for a tank that was it was a 55 gallon, but for smaller glass. Well, the other day, my dad picked up a 55 gallon tank that is actually also cracked. So he didn't realize that, but he picked it up for free. You can see there's a crack right there. But other than that, everything else is fine. Now, what I immediately noticed is that this is thick glass. Also, it was missing the piece of, it's missing some of this stuff. I noticed that it was thick glass, so I went ahead and I removed the piece of glass that was here because it would fit right in where the Richard's tank, the other 55 gallon. So I have it right here somewhere. Actually, I think it's in the bottom of this pile of glass. I think it's this right here. I have it, and I can put it onto Richard's tank now because I just cut the seams and I cut off this. So as I had said, this part was already missing on the other tank, so I just went ahead and cut the seams with this type of deal, a razor blade like that. Just get it in there, cut it, and then once it's like that, then you can kind of just pull it. I'll do it in a second when I have two hands. I'll show you. You just like either push it or pull it, and it'll break the seam down there. Also, you can go ahead and cut that seam as well. And then this stays the same, and you have the piece of glass out. So that's what I did with the other tank, and I didn't have to deal with any rim or anything. This tank does have a rim. So here's the rim. What I did is on this side, so it was sitting like that. On this side, it was already cracked. You see how this is irregular? It was already like that, and I think we had siliconed it on before. The other side of this, however, was perfectly fine, but I still need to get this piece off to get this off. I could have tried to take the whole thing off, but I was too worried I'd break it where I didn't want to. So what I went ahead and did is I took this cutting device with these little tiny, like the serrated end, and I cut along this way, I cut along that way, and then I cut right here. So then, as you can see, came right off. Well, actually, it didn't come right off. There's silicone inside of this, like going down in between the glass and this. So I took this, which I had sharpened. I'm not exactly sure what this is called either. And I just ran it under there, and it kind of slowly pulls it apart. Now, one thing with this is that this has been cleaned many times. It's been through a lot. It is not brand new at all. It wasn't brand new when I got it. I got it from somebody who was getting rid of like their fish room or something. So that's what happened with this. So I went ahead and took that off. It was pretty easy. Now I need to cut off any silicone that's within here. But like I said, now I can remove this. Then I'm going to take this outside, completely wash it. Actually, I'm probably going to remove the seams inside the bottom as well, and just go ahead and add that new piece of glass. I need to take it, wash it as well, and then add it in, and then silicone everything up. And that's pretty much it. So I just need to use the razor blade a lot and get everything cleaned up to do that. So then once that happens, then it's safe to fill up with water again, as long as we make a proper stand. So if we ever need a 55 gallon, which we will for turtles or whatnot, to set up outside, then we can. For now, I'm gonna get this glass off, get it outside, and clean it all up. Very easy to remove, and then we remove the tank. I clean the glass. If you are going to be cleaning old aquarium glass or glass that you've cut, make sure to wear gloves. I didn't really think it would cut me for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah, my hands kind of got all cut up and it wasn't fun. The next day I had learned, and now I wore gloves to finish cleaning up the glass and also cleaning the tank and everything like that. And then once I was actually done cleaning the tank, I have no idea where the footage went, but once I was done, I went ahead and glued the glass piece on, but I did not film it, and I don't know, I remember filming it, and I just have no idea where it went, so I'm sorry about that. Okay guys, so this tank is now all good. In theory, I should be able to fill it with water, but I'm actually not currently using this as an aquarium. It's actually my bearded dragon's tank, so I am going to go ahead and set it up for him, but I didn't do like a fantastic job of putting this piece of glass in. I probably could have done a lot better. I mean, it's not anything noticeable, but right here it sticks out a bit on the top. I can kind of feel it there, and then here it's about even, and then down here it's sticking in a bit, so there's actually a gap in between the side and that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bit of this stuff around here, and I'm going to go ahead, and there's a gap here. I probably should have that was another thing, I probably should have clamped it, so then there wouldn't have been a gap here, but there is a gap here. So I think I'm going to go ahead and put some silicone in there, rub it in, put some tape around it so that I won't get it all over everything, and then the same thing, fill in that gap as well. But for now, I'm going to be using this as a bearded dragon. If I ever do fill it with water, I'll fill it with water outside, and it'll be a turtle in it. So that way, if it for some reason bursts, number one, I won't get any water damage on anything, and number two, the turtle will be fine. So like, I'm not completely trusting this, but I guess if I did it a little bit better, I mean, same system, just paying more attention to detail, and probably using clamps would be the best. The tape didn't do a whole lot for me there, but if I would have done those two things, then it probably would have been good. I really couldn't push this. I think there was some extra silicone there in that gap, and that's why I couldn't push it all the way. But again, if I probably would have clamped it, it probably would have went a little bit better. I don't know. So I'm going to silicone it, and then I'm going to set it up for my bearded dragon, because it's all good on the inside. Like it's pretty much I mean, it's all dry to the touch. I'm assuming that it's completely dry, so I'm going to set it up for my bearded dragon after I fill that stuff in real quick. So I taped out all around those the seams or the cracks or whatever, and then I added in the silicone, and then I went ahead and removed the painter's tape after I smeared the silicone into the seams. So to fix this 55-gallon aquarium that was cracked, I simply removed the piece of glass that was cracked and replaced it with the same size piece of glass. And that is here now. This is the bearded dragon enclosure. Richard's not in here currently. He's in an outside enclosure, but it looks decent, I think. Not terrible. And if you want the seams to look really nice, then you do painter's tape all around the inside, and then when it's still wet, you remove it. and make sure not to get it anywhere, of course. But then the seams would look really nice. These don't look amazing, but I can kind of see, you can see a bubble there, which isn't great, but I can also kind of see that it's like touching all the way up. But basically, I think what would work best is if you got it in the place that you want it, you want to make sure you remove all the silicone, the old silicone, like completely. Then you want to wipe it down with rubbing alcohol to completely clean it, the piece of glass and the tank. Then you get it exactly where you want it, and then you add like a clamp that clamps this piece of glass and this piece of glass to that one. So it would like pull these in. So like a clamp there and a clamp there. And then you'd have a really nice aquarium, which I mean, this is all right. It looks better than a cracked piece. And if I wanted to set this up as a terrarium, I mean, I don't, and I probably won't ever. I don't even know what I'm going to do with this tank. I have like a lot of 55 gallons. But if I ever did, then I wouldn't have to worry about anything, because I'm sure it would hold that much moisture, and I wouldn't have to worry about like insects or moisture coming through a crack or anything. So it works for that, and I'm sure it works for larger aquariums as well. Obviously, it wasn't good that I did this either. Like, that breaks the structurally soundness of the aquarium, and especially for this one, considering it doesn't have any middle brace. But the thing with that is it was already broken, so I don't feel like I did a whole lot, like changed a whole lot there. Like, it was already broken on one side, so if I just broke it on another, I don't really see the problem with that. Again, I think if I had to, I could fill it with water, but I wouldn't want to trust it inside just because of the way that I did it. But if you did have an old aquarium like this, you could probably remove the whole top and replace the piece of glass that way. So I hope this helped someone out there. It wasn't perfect. I didn't do it perfectly, but it worked for what I needed. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, like it down below. If you have any comments or concerns, in the comments below. And if you want more content, then subscribe. Have a fantastic day.